So this is the trail up to Heath Cemetery. It sits a good ways back here. When I was a kid, this was a very isolated part of the county. We were essentially the first house back here. There's some other houses around now. But as a kid, I used to ride my bike up here and explore this old cemetery, and I loved it for a couple of reasons. Number one, there were always snakes up here. And I've long been a fan of creepy crawlies and interesting little critters. So I could always find snakes up here. And the other was, it was very peaceful. And you can probably hear the birds in the background. Even today, now that it's built up a little bit, it's still very peaceful back here. So we're gonna walk up to the cemetery, replace one of our caches, get it ready for winter time, and do a little bit of exploring. So this is Heath Cemetery, Salem Township, Delaware County, Indiana. And like I said, this was my place of solitude, my place of refuge when I was a very young kid. And it's been really well maintained. Salem Township trustee came up here a few years ago and really cleaned things up. Our cache is replaced. And by the way, if you're new to geocaching, caches are never put in cemeteries. They typically are on the outskirts. So we bring you someplace interesting, but want to maintain our respect. And the name of the cache is Gypsy Cemetery because when I was a kid, gypsies camped up here. There was a circus grounds in nearby Muncie, and this is where they would camp when they came to the circus grounds to sell their wares. There's also lots of legends about hauntings in this cemetery. I have never seen anything that has creeped me out here. It's always been a very peaceful place to me. Died 1884. So it's a very old cemetery, and recently they have replaced some of the stones. You can see the old stone behind. Died 1870. Heath Cemetery, Salem Township, Delaware County, Indiana. I love these tree gravestones. And they're pretty common here in the central United States. I've seen them in Kentucky and in Tennessee. I have not seen them too much around there, but the artwork on these is always just amazing. Look at the artwork on the ferns there at the bottom of this tombstone. And he passed in 1880 something. So, you know, this tombstone is well over 100 years old and is in remarkably good shape. This is a grave of Edmund Aldridge. He was a private in the Ohio Militia, War of 1812. He was born 1784 and died in 1858. And the poem on his tombstone says, "I am going to rest, having no fear of death." This is a classic finger pointing upwards tombstone, very common from this era. Born May 6, 1833, died August 23, 1869. 36 years, 3 months, and looks like 16 days. As we prepare to leave the cemetery, you can see there are 2 of the original cemetery gates still standing. One has been encroached upon by the trees and the forest, but the other one is in the clear. I just love that scene, and I'm just going to pan around and give you one more view of Heath Cemetery. The Heaths moved here in 1828. They were the first settlers in the area, perhaps in the township, and this is all that is left of what they started. So there it is, Heath Cemetery, Salem Township, Delaware County, Indiana. on a very cool fall day. You know, growing up, I heard a legend that you could hear Mrs. Heath wash flapping in the wind on windy days. I've been up here on many windy days and have never heard that. And I'm honestly not sure how I would react if I did.